leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
40.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits, yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop some GM in the chat up top or down below. But head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. It does warm up the algo and does us a real solid. You'll also find up there the YouTube chat. Actually, I'll throw that up there in a second. It is in the chat, but I will drop it up in the Jumbotron here momentarily. And you will also find the Abstract chat up top there as well. Go. Don't be sleeping on Abstract. Go get your XP. Pretty easy to hit those. Just participate in the chat and stack some XP on both YouTube and on Abstract. Double dippers, our best chatters, are in all the chats this morning. Greatly appreciate it. Happy Friday, guys. Special guest joining us here in a little bit. Looking forward to chatting through all things Polkadot with Funky. But a good day in the streets. Recovered after massive freak out yesterday. I know that I am like in a good spot with my bag, Steve, because or I'm just mentally ill because I felt nothing yesterday. I mean, you heard it. Like, this is actually hilarious. I have to pull it up just so you can get the visual here. Let me find. It might take a minute because I got to find a actual picture. But I quite literally not only did I blast the top, I opened up a 25x leveraged long on ETH at the top. It's hilarious. Like, it is. it's better with the visual. That's why I'm trying to pull it up real quick. I literally bought the Pico top, and I didn't even sweat it yesterday. And like the dip was like rather the crack
Dipped.
the dip dipped. The flash crash was rather extreme, and I felt nothing. Like it didn't shake me at all. My conviction didn't change. I mean, it wasn't close to getting liquidated. So, thoughts out there to everyone who got clipped yesterday. But where is this?
It's funny while you're pulling that up, like obviously not a liquidation, but yeah, yesterday was the first day that, first of all, I rebalanced my USDC and Sol pool probably 4 times yesterday, including yesterday I woke up at 2 a.m. to go to the bathroom, as old men do. And I looked at the Sol price and I'm like, that's moved a lot. And I'm like, oh my God. So I pulled and rebalanced. But it's just funny because the Sol, like the LP for the first time yesterday during the day slid all the way into Sol. Like it was USDC and suddenly I was 100% Sol. I've never gone out of range. I check it regularly, but yeah.
I don't know if it's coming through great on the
I like how you're trying to use the visual aid like you're like an MSNBC or CNBC like anchor versus I'm going to share something here in a second actually that'll make that I'm going to laugh, you're going to laugh at. So
the B is a 25x long. I shared it on the show, and then minutes later, like within I guess it would have been 90 minutes later. No, it came out before 9:30. Never mind. So like within a half hour, I think is when inflation numbers came out. And it crashed, like went from 4,750 to 4,400, and then immediately I bought up. So yeah, didn't sweat it at all. Thankfully, we rebounded, and I really think just another blimp in. And markets are going to market. Markets going to do their thing. I mean, it is a good reminder not to overextend yourself. Make sure you're comfortable with if you are going to lever up. Make sure you're comfortable with those liquidation targets, and feels good, man. This is what feels good. Is the my favorite website in the world. It continues another 600 some million yesterday. Go to USD here. So this is insane. Like I keep getting like first couple days in the red. Then we go 73 million, 35 million, 222 million, 161 million, a billion. 523 million, 729 million, 639 million net inflows. 639 million net inflows on a day that it crashed, and crypto Twitter thought the top was in. Like there's infinite institutional bids on ETH right now.
it's an infinite loop. While we're cold opening, though, I do have to share something because of how you just shared your top blast, your ultimate top blast, as top blasty as top blasting gets. A little bit of a different swing to it, but you know what you did remind me of? Check out this picture. It's a little throwback for you. Look at this guy.
Ooh.
Look at this guy in the local news telling a little story, talking about resources for holiday travel in Yakima, Washington.
I think we need to do a suit and tie show. We need to do a suit and tie show and a shirtless show. I think
how about a cheap suit we both have to get a cheap suit from Men's Warehouse, like that one that just doesn't, like, I take the recommendation from the 42-year-old man at there I'm now that age, who's just a salesman at Men's Warehouse selling me like a $100 suit.
I mean, if you hit it right on the right day, you might have got 2 for $100. That looks like it might have been a buy one, get one free special.
Oh yeah, dude, it was. I got that. I got a tan suit. I had a tan suit. It was a good look, man, at the time. Tan suits were hot in the streets. NBA players would get drafted in them, but it was like really cheap and uncomfortable materials.
You're gonna like the way you look.
Yeah, you're gonna like the way you look, says Von Front. Yeah, be epic. That's me. That's me as a news reporter in Yakima, Washington, in grainy. I can find some good stuff if you're looking for old school news stuff.
I mean, in all seriousness, this is actually a perfect segue into the cold open ITs yesterday in the war room. If Mayhem's listening in, this one's for you, buddy. Sometimes I just do things, Steve. Like, you can just do things.
You can just do things.
Without a plan, I burnt the boats, and I have to find a new place to live in 2 weeks. I have ideas, but I'm not in contract on anything.
You're going here. You're just gonna drop this one publicly that we talked about privately, huh? We're going.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's do it.
I tease it in the war room. I was like, so the post show, because someone else commented about their crazy situation at the moment, and I was like, I'll see your your home that you're moving into, and I'll raise you a. And like that. Never mind. This is better quote open material. So, yeah, I talking on old suits. Like I'm moving, so almost all my suits are in storage units. They're just are storage tubs because they're just wrapped in vacuum sealed in plastic, and because I never wear them anymore. But at one point in my life, I was wearing a suit and tie every single day when I was running the Verizon store. So there's a few nice ones, but most are like the similar circa early 2000s that were, the Men's Warehouse, the S&K stuff. Oh my God, Von Frunten guessed it. So yes, like there.
Wow, dude, did you talk to him about this?
Nope. Not at all.
Sorry, I didn't mean to click it on the screen. I was trying to click it off. Yeah.
Like it's
spoiler.
I don't know like why I'm thinking this way. I mean, it would be fun, and I have the freedom and flexibility to do something like this. My daughter just started her senior year. We do have fall lacrosse, but that's like just a couple of tournaments, and then she's like kind of just there's not a lot. She plays lacrosse, which is a spring sport, so I'd certainly want to be around for all those, but for like the next, I don't know, several months, I can go wherever. I mean, as long as I got internet access, I can go wherever. And
Starlink fixes this, by the way.
The current market in this area, I kid you not, I'm looking for stuff, and I'm like, it's overwhelming how many good deals there are, to the point where half of them like, is this a scam? Because it's just real estate across the country the bubble is popping. Like it wasn't that long ago. If you wanted to buy a home, you had to come in 10 to 20% over their ask price to even be considered. You had to get in on like the day it listed on the market. Stuff's just not selling. And there's it's the opposite. It's the opposite of ETH, where supply is just simply on the real estate market. Supply is just greater than demand. There's just not a lot of people buying. This is across the country. Like if you do any research, there's some exceptions, but most markets are very much so buyers markets right now. That said, in coastal areas, especially here, we got hit by a couple of hurricanes last year. There's property in Dunedin, where I currently live. There's property in St. Pete. Like St. Pete is, we'll talk when Funky joins. It's like St. Pete is, like it's very nice. Like I'm sure there's areas of St. Pete that are not great, but there's a lot of wealth in St. Pete. It's like my crush Kathy Wood lives in St. Pete. There's a lot of just a lot of nice homes. It's a very desirable market. However, it's also being hit like the real estate market is everywhere else, and it's being the issues are being compounded in Dunedin and St. Pete and some of these other coastal cities where there's these hurricane homes where they got hit. They've done basic remediation. They've taken out the drywall like up to the bottom of this TV, like 4 feet up, but they've not done any more remodeling. No one's buying these homes. They're giving them away. Like literally, you could probably go buy 50 homes right now in the Tampa Clearwater market that are selling for less than the dirt was selling a year ago. It's insane. I probably should just pull the trigger on one, but I don't think it's done. I actually think it's like a catch and a falling knife, and which is fine if you're not trying to like time the market. You just write it out in 5 years or so to be up again. I just, part of me thinks like, yeah, maybe it is just to kind of go, just travel the country for a few months and then keep my eyes on it and try to time it up a little closer to the bottom. Because realistically speaking, what I'm looking for is something I can live in for about a year and then turn it into a rental or Airbnb it or flip it. And then come back up for as my daughter goes to school, I can reevaluate. Do I want to stay in this area? Do I want to go somewhere else, etc. So I don't know. I'm on the fence on when to buy in this market, just because it is very much so seems like a falling knife. And when I say that, it's because I've been watching it. I get emails every day that people are undercutting by $10,000, $25,000. These homes are. It's like it literally this is not an exaggeration. The closest thing I can compare it to is an NFT collection that's being blur farmed, and the sellers are just undercutting themselves every minute. here it's not every minute, but like every day someone is undercutting their neighbors in this market. And so yeah, I started looking at RVs and had the thought of, why don't we just take the show on the road? Here is, it's funny because we were talking about Chat GPT and how it's so much better. LLMs are so much better at creating images than it once was. It still's not perfect. You can see I tried multiple times. It will not, for whatever reason, Chat GPT will not use the ape chain logo. It does this thing. That's kind of gorilla. It is a gorilla. It's just not the right one. So I asked to remove the ape chain logo. So it does that, but then it also changes the rec guy logo to this thing. It's like, for as good as it is, it's again, add one of these logos, whichever one fits best. It doesn't do it. Like, it's just, for as good as it is, it doesn't follow simple. It's very hard to edit photos sometimes when you're talking text and get the text right. You can see all these, like, it just keeps going. But yeah, Cruising with Cap, Mobile On-Chain Studio. I had a tweet drafted to send out angling for sponsors, but I was trying to get the image right first, and I gave up after a few minutes. It refused to do what I was looking for. So I'll probably come back to the drawing board today, unless someone wants to.
So give me what you're looking for. I can't guarantee I'll get it today, but like I could probably help you out here. So you have to be really specific. So with ChatGPT, what I found is when I've been doing some podcasting type pictures, like the one with Funky, it'll give me a bad picture, and then I'll take a picture, open a new ChatGPT window, and say, or new chat, and say, give me this exact same picture, but only change this, keep this the same, keep this the same, only change this. So like it had like all of us a little weird. You didn't have a microphone in the first one with Funky. And then the Polkadot logo was in a weird spot. And I'm like, make this picture exactly the same. Only give the key. Yep. And I was like, put the ape in a full spacesuit, give it a microphone.
Everything the same, and swap the ape chain logo for the one attached. It didn't do that, and it added this thing. Like, I didn't ask for that.
Yeah, there's like some tricks. I could probably get you one, but like I've gotten really good at it, but like it took me a lot of trial and error running through it.
If the ape chain DAO was still a thing, I should have done this back in the day. If it was still a thing, I would do it now for sure. I'm like ready to do this, and I would absolutely submit a AIP for a on-chain studio, Cruising with Cap, whatever we want to call it. So yeah, help me wordsmith this. I do, RV Cap, Bahamas Cap. Yeah, that is very much so in range. We got Von Frunten volunteers to co-host the show when Cap rolls through Indy. Like, true.
This was the idea. This is the idea. But go ahead, Cap.
To really do it right, like to really do the best content, I need someone with me for the video. For video, I need a videographer. Like all my friends that come to mind that would help me with this are it's kind of up there in their wheelhouse. They're, they've got wives and kids, and like probably not in a position just to go hit the road with me for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. But it'd be a blast. I shared with you, like, when I was building a repair franchise, one of my peers who was building a wholesale parts distribution business did something very similar and crushed it. Like, just took a road trip toward all these local independent repair shops across the country, vlogged the whole thing, and long story short, it exploded his business. He was selling aftermarket parts and pre-owned phones, and it worked very well for growing an audience, and in his case, growing clientele. So I don't know exactly what I would do with it, but I don't know. It's probably not the most optimal time, but I'm like in this limbo land of not.
But that is the most. There's never an optimal time to just say fuck it and get in an RV with your dog, though. Here's the thing. Like,
is a year from now would probably be better when my daughter's actually in college. So like, I wouldn't do it for a full year now, but like, I could go take trips. You know what I mean? Like,
you could soft launch, basically.
Yes. Yep.
No, you know what they say? It's like the best time to plant a tree is yesterday. The second best time is today. The best time to buy Bitcoin is yesterday. The best time to go on an RV trip with your dog and just give up everything and live off the land was yesterday. The second best day is today. But
I also did my dog Cooper. It wasn't an RV, but when I got him, I unfortunately had him for like 8 months, but not exaggerating. We probably put on 50,000 miles on the road together, and I absolutely loved it. We had an absolute blast. And yeah, I would enjoy that experience with Duke for sure.
NFT NYC1, you sent me your blog about him and I cried. Because I was thinking about my dog. Everyone feels it. Two things. One, it's funny because in Include Stops, we talked about this. Von Frutton is like the most like in my head person. Maybe
This is also why
Web3
right now. If I do it right now, part of the allure is football season.
I said that. I was like yesterday. That was like part of my commentary. I'm like, dude, you could hit up the whole way. You could go to Tallahassee for a Florida State game. You could hit up Gainesville. Like my first things, I eventually landed the plane on what your idea should be with crypto. But the very first place I went was like I named like 4 college football stadiums, and I'm like, okay, but what would you actually do for crypto? Like my thought was like, next people event in Charleston, whip it up. There's a bunch of people in town. Get a podcast studio, interview all them, run up to, I won't say where, but Deez's neck of the woods he talks about. Go play disc golf with him, film it, talk to Deez, go all the way to the West Coast, get, till you get to LA, like do a pod with Thread Guy, like do like the whole run across the country because people are dispersed throughout. You could stop and see Zane, you could stop and see, and you could literally find people in all these different cities. There's a Boston blockchain meetup, go up and hit all them. You go through New York, grab Gary Vaynerchuk and Andy. And so like, there's so many like things you could do with this. Like, and I said, like, I wouldn't trade my family for the world right now. I'm sad we're going back to school. I love summer with my kids. I love the time spending with my kids. Probably going to take them out to a diner after this because, like, it's the last Friday before school starts. So I want to, like, take them out one more time and kind of cry internally as I think about, like, they're not going to be home. They're getting older, another year of school. But in an alternate universe, whipping around the country in an RV with my boy, my dog, my Labrador, who I love as my best friend, sounds awesome.
Yeah, oh shit, man. Sorry, I don't know why I completely dropped the ball and adding you to the stage.
I was wondering about that, but I'm too in the zone right now with the RV thing. You know how I feel about that.
So yeah, I like it's like I say it's 50-50, it's truly 50-50. Like there's I will not be surprised at all if a month from now I'm every day the show is from this mobile studio in the RV. I also would not be surprised if I'm just living in Kathy Wood's neighborhood in St. Pete. I kid. I'm that's out of my range, I'm sure, but
not if you're in her house. That sounds more creepy, but I was just implying Cap's shooting the shot. I'm one last thing in cold open, then we'll go to Joey Valls and we'll close it down in here. Because I think he came up, but we might have lost him. People are asking about the suit stuff. Here's 2 more suit ones for you. Here's Steve on the field covering Ohio State football way back in the day. And then just for funsies, in case you think that I owned more than one tie in college where I was very, very poor in college, a poor college kid. Here's me in the same tie, but with a white shirt hanging out with Eddie George, covering the Buckeyes for a Fiesta Bowl win over Notre Dame on the sideline. So,
all right, I got to go. We'll get to Joey here in a second. I got to go find a suit pick though, because you'll get a suit pick and a beardless cap in a second.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. A little fun Friday we're having here. But we'll get Joey back up here.
Way back, I can go way back. That's not even that great one. That's no suit. It's just a tie. It was a high school football award ceremony or something. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're going way back into the bag. We want to. I can go. I can rip a prop picture with my current wife.
Probably like 2012. I'm guessing. I just need to find it. Yeah, Joey, GM, what brought you up?
GM Cap. Well, you were talking about real estate and RVs, and so the interesting about the real estate market right now, actually, because of housing prices, there and interest rates. There's a lot of markets currently where, for the first time in years, it makes more sense to rent than it does buy. Like there are, some of the more desirable markets right now, you could rent, like if you were to go buy a $1.5 million home right now, your mortgage on that's going to be, 10 grand a month or something like that, or 12 grand a month, right? Depending on how much you put down and whatever, right? Like I'm not doing the math right now, but those homes are currently renting for like half that price. So it's an interesting market now where, Cap, what you're talking about is like, buying distressed homes, right? And then fixing them up, right? That's an idea. When you're in a market like that, that's completely different. But for most people right now, it's way more expensive to get a mortgage. And now, I'm not talking about every market, right? Because if you go to Pawnee, Oklahoma, or you go to, middle of nowhere, Tennessee, right? That's different. We're talking about like metropolitan areas. And then funny you talk about the RV market, but we've been talking about getting into an RV for like years and just traveling around the country with our kids while they're still young before like we have to worry about putting them in school. So I'm throwing it out there right now, Cap. If you decide to do this and you need somebody to come along with you to help you record videos and all that stuff like that, we might be persuaded to get into an RV with you and travel around the country.
Sweet. You want to inherit a family of 16, Cap, and share the RV with them? Joey Valves is on board.
Squiddy's doing the same thing, so I might have a sidekick ready to go.
I mean, it'd be a separate. We would have our own RV though. We won't creep your space, Cap. We don't want to cramp your style.
Yeah, there's I'm going to put it a 50% chance that this does actually happen. We will see, but because just like it's a good time to buy. It's same thing with RVs is there's just more sellers than there are buyers right now. So I say all that fully understanding that it could be trying to catch a falling knife. So real quick, and then I'll let you get us back on point. Take us wherever you'd like, Steve. This is 2011 when I was wearing suit and tie every day, beardless cap, and baby face.
Look at this child winning an award. What is that a
franchisee of the year?
Franchisee of the year, or did you win the Little League softball game? Because you are a kid there. Look at this guy. No mullet.
That's 14 years ago. Yeah.
You look like you should be British. I don't know why. Maybe it's the suit and the haircut and the clean face, but you look like you would have a British accent in this picture. Like if you showed me this picture, I'd be like, that guy's British. Just would. And an upscale high-end British accent. We're not talking about like the Newcastle people coming out of the tune with their where they sound like they're asking the questions. It's like not one of those. Like I think you got the classy British accent. London.
I do have a good tie collection. I should start wearing it just to rock the ties. I can tie a pretty sick Windsor knot too. So
a tie with the sleeveless. So same outfit, but you wear a tie around your neck with it. It could be your look. Everyone's like, this guy's wacky. This is his thing. Like that could be your thing. So I like that. It's funny. I don't mind the cold opening stuff because we are in like a little bit of a lull news moment, right? Like, so I think we do this. I think we daily market update, maybe even straighten to more, and we talk a little bit about our DeFi conversation we were having earlier about what we were doing there. Cause I put out a whole thing about my DeFi movement. Maybe we hit on that Polygon discussion we were having earlier. Cause I do think we're in a little bit of a market lull. So I think we have probably an opportunity to go deep on a couple of subjects here. So want to do a daily market update and we could roll through.
Yeah, sure.
The daily market update straight to your brain. Powered by ApeCoin, no hype, just gains. Moving on 8chain, we bringing the heat. NFT trends alpha, never miss a beat. 8chain on top, now we bringing the flex. The home of NFTs, figures now what's next. Come on, my head top, but you want the time to chop for one time.
It's time for the daily market update powered by ApeCoin, the home of NFTs. ApeChain has it all, bringing culture, fun, and community to the blockchain. Dive in and see why ApeChain is on top. And Cap, get a lot of compliments on Young Cap. The one thing I have going for me is that I will say when they're talking about Young Cap, I'll pull up a prom picture of myself. Yes, you can tell it's a younger picture of me because I'm a little heavier right now going through after COVID and just like not working out as much. But the one thing about me is I may be like a 4 out of 10, but I've been a 4 out of 10 my whole life. And I've just maintained that. And the number rises as you get older, right? It's like I was a little nerdy looking kid in high school. There's some good-looking kids from my high school. Maybe didn't hold up pretty well. I look close to the same. So I'll pull up a couple high school pictures. But in the meantime, Cap, go ahead and get a daily market update while I pull up my rando high school pictures.
Solid 4.5. We're getting in the chat. So we had a day of recovery. It's going to show down percent on the majors. Bitcoin down 1% to 119. ETH down 1% to 4,600. It is hilarious to me that ETH is 4,600 and you would have thought yesterday that half of crypto Twitter lost it all. Lever down the leverage everyone. Like
Do you think that's what it is? Do you think people are just
Gotta
so
be,
levered? Because like
it just doesn't make sense. Like nothing changed. It was like it was a news moment. Markets trade the news. You saw everything got bought up almost instantly. Like we're going to resume up only today, unless there's some other big major news. Still 74% chance of rate cuts next month. Like it's just silliness. Like I can't imagine it was a bunch of people selling. It had to be a little dip, and then people just got wiped out. Like nothing else makes sense for that or people just aren't holding any bags. They just don't have any Bitcoin or ETH, and they just don't think they're going to get an actual bull market on their altcoins or something. I don't know, man. It's wild to me because, or I'm the weirdo that is just desensitized to this volatility and just numb to it. Like, oh, it's just another day in crypto. Anyways, XRP down 3% on the day to 311. Solana down 4% to 194. Doge down 3% to 23 cents. Cardano down 2% on the day, but having a week. I feel like last week Cardano was 60 some cents. So it is continuing to perform. Runes got crushed yesterday in the madness. Rest of the memes, Sheeb down 5%, Pepe down 6%, Pingu down 6%, Bonk down 6%, Trump down 3%. One of the best performers, I'll go pull up the chart here in a second, is Hyperliquid. Since I'm telegraphing my moves there, I will share I did buy, not a ton, but I bought some spot hype just to stake because I wanted, it's only like 2% yield there, but I'm beating the Hyperliquid drum, telling my in real life friends about it. So yes, today for those keeping score at home, my ETH ETF inflows not phased by yesterday's flash crash from hot inflation numbers, another 600 million net inflows. Also, despite inflation numbers, still 78% chance of rate cuts next month. And lastly, still early on the hype trade. If looking for an ETH beta, it has become the dominant DEX. Once TradFi realizes the volumes and the fees it's printing, this could send $29 billion in fees in the last 24 hours for Hyperliquid. That equates to $7.7 million in fees. I can't do that math, but let me share you. Here's the Hyperliquid chart, up 2% on the day on a very I guess red day across the board. I think it's recovered. I think it's got a ways to go from here. It's resuming. You zoom out and it is a pretty beautiful looking chart. And at a 47 million fully diluted value, I think this thing has 100 million plus written all over it. When you're talking about, 7.7. That's 230 million a month. Again, I know it was the record day, so I'm being extreme here, but that's about a $3 billion a year run rate on fees. Pretty impressive, and I think they are.
And they're buying back. They're buying back. It's like it is
like there's actual fundamentals here. They're making real money and buying back their token. Like this thing has real fundamentals that I wanted to make sure I had exposure since I'm pumping it up so much, and went ahead and staked it. It's not a ton. I'm a minnow over there in a market of whales, but it's just something I wanted to get some chips in that casino in case there is.
Are you doing kinetic over there? Is that where you're staking? Like
I just did that. This round I just staked directly on Hyperliquid.
So if you're looking for airdrop exposure, I will say, and not financial advice to anybody except Cap, kinetic, and use Phonix's link. Don't use mine as much as I should be shilling my own link. Phonix has gotten me on everything there, and it would be disingenuous for me not to do it. So ask Phonix for his. You go to kinetic, you buy K hype, you swap your hype into K hype, and it's a liquid staking mechanism. Then you restake it. It's only about 6 to 10% depending on the day, but the airdrop you're earning towards is going to be, there's definitely almost certainly going to be a kinetic airdrop. So one of my moves I'm going to do when my ETH frees up in a gazillion days from Coinbase is I'm going to actually I'm going to do some USDC. I'm going to do some hype ETH LPs because I'm comfortable holding both of those. And I'm going to move some cash to kinetic and try to go a little bit bigger there. Like I've been consolidating positions this week in DeFi. Real quick, just to show.
I need to do more over there. I wanted to have some. Anyway, it was $1,000. I just wanted to have some. So 21 hype. I just wanted to have something staked on Hyperliquid.
I feel really good that you just said that because I have $1,000 that was 27 hype, which means it's much more than $1,000 right now over there. On Kinetic.
Yep.
Really, really quick. Just to prove my point, I want to show this. This is my prom picture with my current wife. So if you talk about looking very similar, yes, I'm a little puffier right now because I got to get in shape. Notice the girl crying in the background. I know her. Sorry, Rebecca. Know him. And this guy was balding at the time and is now fully bald. And so that's the so still looking very much similar, the same. Maybe a little younger in one of my high school soccer picture. Opened along on myself in '98, and it's going strong.
Ooh. If we're going sports pictures, now I got to find one of the actual long hair pic from senior year.
Yeah, I was a little baby. Played my soccer and played. But yeah, I looked relatively the same. Just for the point, it's pretty much the same haircut, pretty much the same look, same wife, by the way, at the time, girlfriend.
That's wild.
So yeah, I mean,
GG's. Congratulations to both.
I mean this like with my absolute full heart. She is a fucking gem, and I try to date her every single day. Like, because it is like, I realize how unbelievably rare it is to find somebody who gets me when I am at every stage of life. Because I was kind of a fucker in high school a little bit. Like, not the worst, but not the best. College, I wasn't great. After college, but in every stage of life, had those moments. And like, it's just, it works. Yeah, I mean, I like this. Thank you. You do look stunningly similar, aging like a fine wine. Yeah, thank you. Like when I'm in shape, which I am not right now. I haven't been probably in like 3-4 years. But during COVID, probably it was last time I was in shape, like right at the beginning of COVID. Like it was a very similar look. Like I have a very puffy face right now. I'm about 10 to 15 pounds overweight at the moment, for where I should be, which is weird for me in my frame because like, I don't know, man. Like I probably weigh like 185 pounds, but I should be like 165 pounds. But yeah, no, people, good compliments in the chat. Yeah, my wife is a fucking absolute gem. Maybe we'll pull up some good pictures there, as well. But, absolute gem. And she's one of the ones is an absolute keeper for sure. But, yeah, man, while you're like looking up like high school picture type stuff, I will,
I was looking for a long hair pic. I don't know if it's on the Book of Faces. I mean, I'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was basically combing through like old profile pictures.
I did just find my Siegfried and Roy Halloween where I shaved my chest that I referenced here a week or so ago. Not good.
Yeah, I was gonna say not great. We'll share one. Yeah, but the in shape picture taken slightly before I started gaining a bunch of weight before I comb my hair off to the side would be this one right here with we'll show another one with the wife. But yeah, it was definitely a more in shape. The face gets a lot thinner, but I have bad genetics, so I get chubby very quickly if I'm not managing absolutely everything. So anyway, running back on the tracks here though, on the DeFi streets, I would say this, like I am, I would say like Hyperliquid, I made some moves this morning or last night, where I moved some money off Hyperliquid off Hyperlend. And because a lot of people are using Hyperlend and they're like, use it. I am such a guppy there that I'm looking to concentrate positions. So when I look at DeFi, I optimize for yield first, but airdrop heavily weighted depending on what I'm looking at, right? So I look at yield, I look at, and Hyperliquid right now, there's just so many whales who are throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's $100 million bridge the other day over into Hyperliquid. And I look for some less crowded trades. So I've moved a little more money to Katana. I think people are sleeping on Polygon. They have a whole staking lottery thing they're doing right now related to their Kaido leaderboard. So, more markets. I'm still farming Flow. I'm doing the journey to the iPad. I'm going to do a video at some point on Katana just to show how slick this platform is. It is the most user-friendly DeFi platform I have ever seen in my life. Highly, big fan. But like, big fan of their overall staking platform. It's like so many user-friendly features that if you're new to DeFi, it's actually something I understand. But yeah, like people sleeping on Polygon. Ooh, you made a change to the layout. What was that?
Request. It's like we need something in between. Mark asked for a zoomed in view. We need something in between this zoomed in and this setup.
Well, people get mad because my setup's wide, but I have too many trinkets to not show. So it's a very I've gotten feedback on that before, but I like my trinkets and
we can go this way.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It cuts me in a little bit. There you go. That's actually the best view when you just take me all out completely. I like how you just do the share screen with nothing whatsoever. This is how a lot of people do it. Like when I did Hunter's stream on Wednesday, Hunter Orel, I went on his. This is about where I'm zoomed. So I'm well positioned for the zoom, but then like you can't see all of the you can't see all of the fun stuff I've got going on, and that's no fun. So the background is the background. I'd have to
Oh shit, dude, we completely got off the tracks. I need to finish the daily market update, don't I?
Oh, I mean, you can just close it out with the read, and we can go into more.
Well, let me at least hit NFTs. I didn't make it up to NFTs yet, so I apologize. I will hit those real quick, and then we'll hand it right back to you.
What a fucking Friday.
We did have Moonbirds up again, another 5% to 2.95. Ape Lawn, an ape chain. I missed this mint, but it's 12.5 ape. A ton of volume, 23,000 sales. So I'm guessing a free mint there over there on ape chain. Azuki flat up slightly to 2.039. Ladies also flat 2.59. Little Pudgy's down a few to 1.53. Meta winners, not sure this one here, but it's 243 sales up to 0.228. This one we talked about yesterday. It was a cook. Congratulations to anyone who got in it. We attempted to get some alpha there, but it looked like you had to be on the guaranteed list. It was oversubscribed, and so those miners got a nice 3. It says down 10%, but it's a 0.1 mint. So miners got a 3x out of that on some decent volume. This is a gaming company that's got a couple 100 million users, bringing them on chain this fall. Big Pudgy's flat to 13.47. We mentioned Moonbirds up. V1 CryptoPunks having a little bit of run here, and Apes down below 12 to 11.88. I will say last thing on the NFT front to give our guy Raheem. No, might have been Raheem. I think it was Raheem. I'll if not, I will. I'll correct this, but just something to be aware of as NFTs are heating up and people are starting to buy more NFTs or consider buying NFTs. Make sure you're checking the loan books. We've just as people got liquidated yesterday on the crypto crash, 615 loans on Pudgy's right now on Blur alone. I haven't checked the other, but there potentially could be upwards of 1,000 loans out on Pudgy Penguins right now. And as he said, pretty sure liquidations are in the hand of like 10 people. So you got to keep an eye on this stuff. Numbers up big in the last 3 weeks, and could be fine if number keeps going up. But if number goes down, those things start the cascading liquidations are very real. It's not just it's not just people getting liquidated in the coin streets. It can happen in NFTs as well. So be aware. Or if you are a buyer, if you're looking to get in the ecosystem, look for a pullback. Look for one of these cascading loan list liquidation days. Buy low. They do get bought up. It's just you got to be. This absolutely plays into the NFT market and floor prices pretty significantly. So if you're looking for an entry, I'm not wishing floor prices to go down, but if that, what I say, 13.47 goes to like 12 ETH, you could see a lot of Pudgy Penguins going to auction, and that's a good time to good time to buy. Dobbins picked up his first X copy piece. Congratulations!
Right on, Dobbins. Congrats on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I love Dobbins. Dobbins such a vibe. Such a vibe.
He says also the 100 million bridge to Hyperliquid was an institution to come into Hyperliquid. So this is my thesis and why I threw $1,000 at Hype this morning and staked it directly on their chain, because I think it's so early in the cycle. I think TradFi is I think institutions are gonna love it. I actually here's maybe. So
you think there's another airdrop coming from Hyperliquid versus staking it on a platform with Hype on Hyperliquid? Got it. Okay.
And I have just a lot of conviction that could the token price drop? Yes. If the thesis plays out, it's gonna be at least $100 billion market cap. I'm pretty sure of that. I say I'm sure of it in my own head. As we are not financial advisors, certainly not yours. Don't follow us for any of that. I definitely butchered the. What the hell was I doing during opening today?
RVing, talking about ties. Kathy Wood got you all hot and bothered. Man. I will say, but dude, like this is the thing. So like I am still holding Hype when I'm liquid staking on Kinetic. So it's still the hype price. But to your point, like if Hyperliquid does another drop, there's potentially alpha there. I mean, there's a ton of things to be done on Hyperliquid. It's just similar to you. I'm such a guppy that I want to be more on hype, but I'm going to be looking to push more chips in very concentrated areas. So for example, there's a good chance at the 6% I'm earning on Kinetic, 6, 7 to 10, 8%, whatever it is, I'm going to just push hard into Kinetic versus going on hype, going on Hyperland, going on all these different protocols that might get airdrops. I think my concentrations are probably going to be Project X and Kinetic. I might even pull out a liminal, to be honest, but it's 15% on stables, so I'm like, whatever. But I don't know that I want to be in stables. By the way, how about this? A couple days ago, I said I was too heavily allocated in stables for my liking in this market. Market pulls back. I just reallocated some of those stables. I just had the very obvious unlock, which sounds so obvious to most people. If I keep a healthy allocation of stables in DeFi, I can just rebalance when there's market pullbacks. And it's like a beautiful thing. I've never done this before. I've always just held my stables spot in stables, held my positions spot in my positions. Well, if I'm in stables, like I'm on some of these positions, which I am because my Meteora pool is half stables. So I'm doing that. Liminal some stables, have some stables on more markets. By having these stables staked, I'm earning on them. And then when the market pulls back, I just yanked them real quick and redeployed them in some different places. And now I got a discount on some things. So like, it's such an obvious strategy to most people who probably think I'm such a smooth brain idiot for not knowing this before. But like, I was not putting my stables to proper work outside of Coinbase 4.5% or whatever, but basically held them in spot. And I was always like, man, I'm never in enough stables when there's a pullback. Now that I have these positions, like, Liminal will be my next one to get pulled. Next pullback, I'll go to Liminal. I'll pull out of that one and be like, look, I'm probably not going to get a big airdrop here. Why don't I grab some more hype? If there's a hype pullback, put more in Kinetic. So I'm trying to concentrate my strategy more. I spread myself way too thin in week 1, 1.5. And in week 2, I'm doing some consolidation, especially because I'm going to be going into Polkadot here pretty soon. But trying to make some plays on Polkadot, Polygon, Flow. Everyone's calling me a boomer because of the boomer. They're calling boomer. It's also hilarious that we have the concept of boomer chains on something that is still not widely adopted. Like we're already okay to say boomer chains versus like all the new stuff. Speaking of boomer stuff though, Cap, you'll appreciate this. So yesterday, my mom, I've mentioned this story before, and my mom always says, don't remind me. When Bitcoin is $20,000, I told my mom, who had some money and got some, had inherited some money from a dad. So I'm like, take 100,000 of it, you're going to use for investment and put it in Bitcoin. Bitcoin was $20,000. Be $600,000 right now. She has a CD that's maturing. That $100,000 is now $102,000. So she kind of had some upside. She lost on that. Talk to her financial person at JP Morgan. She brings me along now because I've earned some trust and she wants to make sure she's not putting money in stupid places. They're really good. The financial lady was awesome. She heard her about the aggressive thing. She's talking to us about AI and where she's putting money. Still, as they talk about AI and data centers and all these different things, because she was trying to explain to my mom, she's like, she didn't realize she didn't know. She's like, a lot of people might not think about the heating and cooling stocks as being AI. But I'm like, no, yeah, I work in early. I didn't say it, but I let her talk. But I'm like, I eventually was like, yeah, I work in early stage tech. I wrote a book on this stuff. Like I understand totally heating and cooling is needed for this stuff. But what happened was I said, like, what about crypto allocations? And of course, this is JP Morgan. She's like, well, you know how Jamie Dimon feels about crypto, loves the tech, not necessarily a fan of the actual crypto, but we do have exposure through some of the products that, Grayscale and other things. Like, I'm great. I'm like, that's exactly what, look, Harvard's buying that. Good enough for Harvard, good enough for me. I was like, so we are going to get my mom 5% allocated with some of this money into some Bitcoin, maybe some ETH. But it was funny because even then, there was almost like we don't talk about Bruno back in the day. Like we don't talk about crypto. But she was open to it. She listened to it. She was really good, actually. She was very good at like listening to the needs and what we're looking for, because my mom is conservative with a money manager she has with most of her money. Not super conservative, but conservative enough that this money is the money we are looking to be more aggressive with. Lady was super helpful, gave us access to some institutional products, actively managed stuff, but doesn't give us a high fee level. Like I asked all the questions. And so my mom's going to finally get allocated in some crypto. So I'm excited about that. That she'll maybe do a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of little bit of ETH probably. So exciting stuff. Let's do this. I'm going to do more, and then we can hit anything we want that you got on your tick list before we bring Funky on here. Because I'm ready to talk Polkadot. I'm ready to get in Polkadot. It's funny. Diablito says, watch the meteoric rise from Steve on the Kaido Polkadot charts. Oddly enough, I put out a tweet about Polkadot yesterday, and today I am lower on the Polkadot charts than I was yesterday. But we shall see. I know it's their last month of their Kaido campaign, but honestly, I just want to start earning places where people aren't looking. So hit more,
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
It's time for the more you know, brought to you by ENS. And look, we know that there are probably some Fed rate cuts coming, even though the data doesn't support the Fed rate cuts coming. But hey, here we are. But when the Fed cuts rates, history shows crypto often gets a boost, but context matters. In mid 2019, a single cut sent Bitcoin up nearly 20% in a week before gains faded just a little bit. In 2020, emergency rate cuts to near zero sparked a sharp rebound after initial panic. And more recently, those late 2024 rate cuts pushed Bitcoin to $61,000. Hilarious to say that in late 2024. We went to $61,000, and that was a good thing. And just last week, expectations of as much as half a point cut drove Bitcoin to that all-time high at 124,000 before hot inflation data pulled it back. But the pattern is clear. Lower rates mean cheaper money, a weaker dollar, and more appetite for risk assets like Bitcoin and ETH. But size and staying power matters in those rallies on a broader economic signals and investor sentiment. And that was the more you know, brought to you by ENS. ENS does more than not just anchoring your name across the internet, but anchoring or across Web3, but anchoring across the entire internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Security, interoperability, ease of use. Go to ens.domains to learn more and secure your ENS domain today. Cap, only other thing on my list, happy to talk DeFi all morning, but only other thing on my list, I did sell off some of my abstract NFTs. We'll see what it does to XP next week. I have a couple more listed. I'm thinking about weething them. Money's just more opportunistic to the point you made. If I have $1,000 in abstract NFTs and I put that $1,000 onto Hyperliquid, I feel like it's doing more for me. And I am not fudding it. Like I said, love the team, love the product, love, playing Gigaverse every single morning. Just where I'm at mentally.
Yeah, I think, so to that point, NFT founders, I think it's important to, I don't even know what word I'm looking for, because some people don't want their NFTs to be active assets they need to manage or don't want to do anything with. And I'm not saying that exactly. I'm not saying they all have to be a gaming asset or you got to do something with them. But I do think we're in a stage of the market where people I believe that we haven't talked about all the ETH that is currently backed up from validators unstaking. It's like 700,000 ETH. I don't think people are unstaking that to sell. Sure, some of them are, but I'm betting most of them are unstaking their ETH from validators, similar to what you're unstaking your ETH from Coinbase for, so you can make it more productive, so you can chase higher yields. We're in a risk-on environment, so I do think I'm much more likely to hold an NFT or buy an NFT if I can do something with it. If there's, Moonbirds is a good example. We have good reason to believe there's going to be a token drop coming. So I don't have to do anything with it, but I do believe there's airdrop coming. There's a Kaido campaign. It's just, there's something there, right? Without promising anything, I know there's potentially something that might serve as a faux dividend over the next several months. I have no desire to sell my Mythic unless someone wants to buy it for 12.69, and then I will go sweep a few more. There's one in particular I'm not going to name, so I don't want people coming at me. I don't know why I'm holding it. I have no idea why I'm holding it. And yeah, and Crocs is probably on me to let that thing fly so that we can make that capital more productive. So yeah, I hear you. I feel the same way. There's a few that are just not selling, but there's quite literally thousands that I'm not doing anything with that collectively, it's a lot of capital, and I could make it a lot more productive in other, in other assets.
Well, there's random WETH offers coming in for things nowadays that like give you a little bit more opportunity there. So like, yeah, I mean, like, and by the way, like OpenSea's talked about like activity being airdropped. So if I list my abstract NFTs, OpenSea farm, like it's just, there's sort of those opportunities too. But yeah, it's like the opportunity cost of being like people in a Moonbird feel real comfy right now. Price is going up. I don't have the liquid to go ahead and get a Moonbird proper. I've debated many times getting more mythics, even though I didn't get more mythics when they were like 0.1, and I was considering selling it at like 0.14 on the run up, and I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. But I have Moonbird and an oddity. I might get another mythic at some point. But like, yeah, like you're sitting comfy if you're in Moonbirds right now. And that's the fun part about NFTs. When you feel like something's coming, airdrops, utility, like Spencer is the first person since Luca and Bored Apes, because it was Bored Apes, then it was Luca, now Spencer's doing it, that is creating and using a NFT to essentially be a dividend yielding asset. Where I spoke at Harvard in a class one time when they were talking about Bored Apes, and we did the math on the airdrops, the dogs, the ape coin, the mutants, all those things. And a lot of the students are like, so it's like a dividend yielding asset. The reason you hold it and the reason why they're worth that much is not necessarily you're saying, oh, this thing's underlying, but you get access to things, you get access to a network, but you get those. And then there's also third-party utility where people don't remember, but holding an ape in the bull run of 2021, random people like would say, you got an ape, we're giving you an airdrop. We're airdropping you our NFT. We're airdropping you our token. Come here, play this, get access to this.
Not Yuga, by the way. Just
not Yuga. Yes, Yuga third parties.
The bigger I shouldn't say bigger because financially, it probably to this day still the best.
The under the radar opportunity.
Airdrop. But these are like third parties that wasn't expected, but they were expected, if that makes sense. Like there was no expectation of it, but most of us expected not selling because there's going to be another 4 or 5 figure airdrop this month from somewhere.
Yeah. And like, again, people forget even as late as either Fade and Yuga, like the passes to play Dookie Dash sold for a ton of money. The actual heavy metals sold for a ton of money right afterwards. Right? Like I sold mine for like an ETH and then people cleaned up virtual robot poop with it. It's like there was so many opportunities there. And then Pudgy did this to a degree. We thought Pudgy was going to do it more. Our prediction a while ago was Pudgy was going to just absolutely eat the cycle. We haven't seen like as many, like you get this airdrop thing. Spencer's running back that playbook, even early on. OpenSea XP, airdrop from Towns, which again, my dumbass didn't register. I just lost money there. All the different things that they are putting together is like, it's very real that he's running back this playbook where it's like he is doing work in biz dev. And we've talked about this since ad infinitum, since the early bull market. Why are more, I don't understand why more NFT brands aren't going to companies, whether they're protocols or companies outside of Web3 and saying, these people have chosen not to sell an asset worth 50, 60, 70, 100,000, whatever the number is at the time. You should do business with them because they're obviously like I keep saying, like the most low-hanging fruit, if you are a Delta or an American Airlines or whoever, people probably have net worth. They probably fly a lot. You could simply say to them, hey guys, we would like you to join our frequent flyer program. We'll give you the same deal that we give to our platinum or credit card people. After you spend a certain amount of money, you get like 100,000 bonus miles. Join Delta, connect your wallet, read into your wallet. Cool. These people have net worth. So I think Spencer's doing that where it's like he has relationships. People who are holding the assets have the money to splash it around. I don't understand why more companies aren't doing that sort of level of biz dev. Like that is such an easy utility on paper. Now it's easy for me to say sitting in the seat. I'm not the one who has to do it, but it feels like that's a missing utility.
Yeah. Put someone on it. Because all of them. Like right now, I think you could say this about every crypto, every Web3, every NFT brand, except for Moonbirds. Maybe the exception is pudgy, but I don't know if Igloo or Luca has we talked about the membership director, the collabs partner, like someone that's their job to hunt for this stuff. And I think it's a big opportunity for all of them. Like, cause the playbook works. Like, we've seen it work. Actually, I take that back. You have to give Rec credit because they've been crushing it with the collaborations and brand partnerships. And they're probably a smaller team than almost any one of these NFT collections we talk about. So it's like, it's very doable, but you got to do the work. You got to, like, if you're not outreaching, if you're not doing that outbound biz dev stuff, Spencer and his team's going to, and there's probably not enough tokens. There's probably not enough rewards or incentives for every collection. But if you're doing the work and you're building the relationships, like, I mean, the most bullish thing he said, as far as like wanting to hold more of those assets, is like, they're working for the holders.
Yeah, and they know what they're doing. We'll get we'll pull our guy Funky up here in a second. Last thing on this, I'm gonna have a video coming out on this sometime in the next week. I interviewed Jonah Blake on my stream yesterday. Fun fact: Jonah Blake got Spencer into NFTs. So anybody who's got bags out there, it was you have Jonah to thank from back in the day. So ton of nuggets from Jonah's interview yesterday, by the way. I got to cut up his and Dancing Eddie's and probably get some streams going for next week. But good stuff going on there. But
I tuned in for a bit. I had to check out when he gave his take that China was more of a capitalistic country than the U.S. I get they have some capitalistic tendencies, but that was pretty bold.
Did you hear what I asked? I said, like, you think a communist socialist country is more capitalistic than the U.S.? And his reasoning was like, they splash around more capital and they're more a nation of spenders. I'm like, that's not what, I don't know. That was like, Jonah's very smart in a lot of ways. He's a very smart individual. I think he missed the macroeconomic mark on that one, understanding the larger macroeconomic.
Time to go try to buy some land in China and see how that works.
Yeah, like it's like he's like, but they have a lot of money to spend. I'm like, it's a big market with billions of people, and there's an opportunity, and they like certain things. Cosign. But yeah, that one was a little bit. Again, I love Jonah, like that one, but I understand the take he was making, but I think he was maybe using the language a little wrong there.
Yeah, I believe I understand what his take was. Just, it's not that he was necessarily speaking in absolutes. It's just like, yeah, that's not right. Like, they can have capitalistic tendencies as a society and economically, but politically speaking and otherwise, like, it's not more so than the US.
I had a call with Scott yesterday, real quick, before we bring Funky up. I had a call with Scott Commenters yesterday, and I just imagined he was who went directly into my head when Jonah said, like, China's a more capitalistic country. Because Scott is an economist and a mathematician. Also hilarious, Harvard Business School professor, literally the smartest person I've ever met. But he like plays in like world elite math competitions. And one of the conversations he started off, he's like, but I'm just not that good at math. He said at one point, and I was like, and he was talking relatively speaking to like the biggest math geniuses in the world. But it was one of those hilarious things to be like, Scott Commenters. And like, he also like knows he's really smart and good at math, but like he was doing a comparative sake. But in a vacuum, that statement, I'm like, you're talking about like, he had some thing where he was talking about like topographic, quadratic, something or other. And I'm just like, dude, but him as an economist, I heard he went through my head as soon as Jonah was like, I think China is more of a capitalist country than the United States. And I was like, Scott would he would explode into dust if he were on the stream. That would be the end of it. But let's do this. Let's pull up our guy Funky. I'm going to do my best to keep you guys. Cap is getting all bricked up over Kathy Wood over here, and I'm not going to let this conversation diverge into a Kathy Wood love fest. He's been banging the drum hard. I saw him respond to a tweet. He tried to do a tweet as a reply and said, Kathy Wood, Kathy Would. Yeah. So I was like, Cap, let's calm down here. But the Bitcoin bull.
I was from shopping for homes in the Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete market to trying to. We brought Funky on the show today solely so I could get a dinner invite to take Kathy Wood out and just move in with her, multi-million-dollar estate.
But Funky, GM, how you doing?
GM, I'm great, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here. Cap, it's so easy, man. Her main office for ARK Invest is right on Central in St. Pete, 200, I think, Central Avenue, Industrious Building, and second floor. Just go knock on the door, man. She's there.
True story. I'm doing dinner in St. Pete tonight, so I may maybe I sneak out of that area.
Yeah, so there's a man with no sleeves and a hat knocking on the door, yelling Kathy Wood, and making sure he spells it out each time differently. Can we get the St. Pete police over here? I don't know, man. You're probably closer to the Baker Mayfield. I don't know if you saw this quote. Baker Mayfield, they asked him what he loved about Tampa. One of the most hilarious quotes I said, he's like, dude, you just put stuff out and people take it. In other places, you have to get garbage hauled away and pay for that. Yeah, done with something, put it out. Someone with the truck shows up, straps it out, and they're gone. I was like, Cap's closer to that than Kathy Wood's neighborhood, I think.
I know this exists in other parts of the country, but how he described it was exactly how it is down here. There's this guy in a truck, this old beat up truck, like, it's the truck guy. It's the guy in the truck that just how he described it was spot on. And I do think it is the guy in the truck is novel to Florida. I think this area of Florida is unique in the sense that he's like Batman for trash. He does. You just put it out and some signal goes off and the next time you go outside, it's gone. Doesn't matter what it is.
We got a guy here, Virgilio. He in an old squeaky Mazda truck that's got like leaf springs that just squeak when he's going by. And any scrap metal, I'll text him pictures. And he only speaks Spanish, so I have to like write in Spanish. But like anything that's scrap metal, he wants it. It's hot. Yeah.
We got a guy here too who trucks around and like God bless him because it's like I had to get a new grill recently. My old grill, I couldn't figure out how to fix it. Wasn't working. Got a new grill. I'm positive that this guy is going to figure out how to fix it and sell it or break it down for parts. Like anytime I put anything out, he brings a truck, and if you put out something big, he brings the bigger truck.
Yeah, if I throw something out, it's like best you're gonna get out of scrap. You go to Baker Mayfield's neighborhood, and it's probably like a year-old $1,500 grill that's, for all intents and purposes, brand new to most people. It's just he bought the new upgraded version this year. But like some of these really high neighborhoods of extreme wealth, like the stuff you see pulled out of there it'll kind of blow your mind.
Yeah, it's
where does he live? Like Avalon or Avila, whatever the heck it's called, that super famous neighborhood that most of the Bucks players live in?
It's a good question. I'll find out.
Is it Jupiter? Is Jupiter in the area? I always hear about Jupiter.
Jupiter's the other side of
Jupiter, other side down south. Yeah,
Jupiter Farms, though. Every lot in Jupiter Farms is over an acre.
I mean, Jupiter is like the Tiger Woods.
Yeah. From watching Full Swing, you see Jupiter profiled a lot. It seems like a lot of the guys down there.
So he owns 2 properties in the same neighborhood. He just I'll see if I can find it. He just upgraded recently to he had like a $4 million home and he just bought a new $10 million home. But I'm not sure. It's on the water. I just don't know what neighborhood it is.
Must be tough.
Yeah. No, it's a good life to live for sure. Gotta love our guy Baker. And last throwback, and then we're gonna get into this thing.
Davis Island, yeah.
Just because because we've been doing the throwbacks this morning. Love my guy Baker. Back in the day when he was on the Browns, hosted a 5,000 person pep rally with my guy. So big Baker Mayfield fan. Was so mad when the Browns got rid of him. I'm like, we're getting rid of the first guy that gets to the playoffs, the guy with panache, the guy who you can root for, the guy who everybody on the team loves and roots and gets behind, the guy who like has the bravado.
Awesome. He is beloved down here. Like he is amazing. Like
he was beloved up here. Everyone loved him.
I mean, imagine now that he's actually like putting up good numbers on the field. Like it was questionable. Like, yeah, he burned the playoffs. Was like, this guy. Like people called him a bust. He's awesome and just
barely lost that game against the Washington Commanders in the playoffs. Barely. Like that was so frustrating to watch. And they were a great team, obviously, right? I mean, look at how far Washington went. So
if you haven't done your fantasy football drafts this year,
Ibuka
is who you want in the late rounds because Godwin is. I don't know if Godwin's not starting the year and he may be out for a while. Ibuka is beloved as well by the team. Baker loves him. Like he I think he's a sleeper rookie of the year candidate.
Ibuka is Baker personified in wide receiver in the sense that one of the things I loved about Ibuka, you could watch that guy just run down and he blocks people into the crust of the earth. Like when you watch him blocking, like he was my favorite Ohio State wide receiver in a while. Yes, he put up numbers. Yes, he was like really talented, but what he does on the field is like he took pride. Like you would see Ibuka regularly. He goes up, blocks a defensive back and even linebackers sometimes into the crust of the earth and just stands over them and flexes. Like that's like Baker when he like runs a guy over as he's going out of bounds and he gets in his face and like he's the perfect guy who starts a fight with a big guy and then his linemen come up and help him out. But like Ibuka and Baker, like those two, when they drafted them, I'm like, oh man, I didn't think about it, but you could not have a better match than like two dogs who just like love it. Because Baker blocks on like end arounds for his people, and his coaches are like, dude, you shouldn't do that. He's like, I'm not gonna stop doing it. But yeah, Ibuka is like, man, I am so bullish on him because he'll always have a roster because he's not afraid to just go get his hands dirty. So, but enough football talk. Let's talk about from dotting DBs to dotting Polkadot because I want to get in on the. Go ahead, Cap.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna go refill my coffee real quick. Do you want to give for those that aren't familiar? We take for granted. I think everyone here, I assume, knows Funky because you've been on our show. You tune into Modern Market, which Steve and I are big fans of. But there might be some people out there, or people that catch the recording later, who aren't familiar with Funky. You might give a little cue up and a little intro, and then maybe Funky can tell us what his role or how he's gotten involved with Polkadot is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, thanks, Chris. So it's again just ecstatic to be here with you guys. I'm on my third cup of coffee, so I'm sure I'll be quite chatty this morning. I figured I have to do it, right? Coffee with Captain. And so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Funky. Real name's Ryan, and I am a former high school teacher of 20 years. Basically got involved in crypto in 2017, sort of just dabbling. Hey, we're all going to get rich. Started buying Bitcoin, ETH, continued to buy it during the bear market because I was like, oh, hey, look, ETH is cheap now. Bitcoin's cheap. 2020, COVID happens, go down the rabbit hole, really go down the rabbit hole at that point. COVID boredom, out of school, everything else. And this actually dovetails nicely into the Polkadot piece, as well as why I work full-time in industry. So 2020, DeFi summer's popping off. I'm, of course, like everybody else, getting rugged on every other API or farm that's offering like 14,000 APY as soon as it boots up and stuff like that. For those of you who lived through DeFi summer in 2020, remember, it was pure madness. I remember looking at CryptoPunks back then, and they were like 3 or 4 ETH was the floor. And I remember thinking, like, who would pay $800? This was like ETH was like $200, right?
I thought the same thing. When I found Top Shot, and then I first, it's like some of the people, like I found Top Shot by way of Jonathan Bales and some of the DFS guys that got into NFTs, and it was really Top Shot driven. And then a few of them, like Adam Levitan and Peter Jennings, and a few, like Peter has a fire CryptoPunk hoodie or a hoodie CryptoPunk. A few other, like 5 of them went in to buy a CryptoPunk together. Pete Overzet, by the way, for a while, he had like 1/5 of the CryptoPunk. He made his PFPs as a jokester. I think they bought that shared CryptoPunk. 5 of them went in on one punk that I think was 15 grand. I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. I couldn't believe these guys were spending $15,000 on a JPEG. Like it was, I got Top Shot, but the PFP thing was just like, I didn't get it at all at first. And it was just like my reaction basically was the same as yours. Like, what the hell are these people doing?
Yeah. So anyhow, I ended up also discovering Polkadot because for those who don't know a whole lot about Polkadot, Gavin Wood was the CTO of Ethereum, was one of the co-founders alongside Vitalik and, Charles from Hoskinson, Joe Lubin, there's like 7 of them or something like that from the very early ETH days. And so Gavin was effectively a coder. Vitalik had the idea, he had the dream, but he really didn't know like how do I create this thing. And the story goes, in about a weekend, Gav kind of coded it all up. He wrote what's called the yellow paper for Ethereum, so kind of explaining how the Ethereum virtual machine works. He was also one of the key architects in Solidity, which is the language that's used for Ethereum. But then he very quickly realized that this isn't going to scale. We have this one single throughput chain that it's going to get congested. And so he leaves in 2016 and he starts a company called ETH Core. ETH Core is now called Parity Technologies, which is sort of the development house for Polkadot. And I got curious in this, and you guys have been around long enough to remember interoperability was sort of the holy grail in 2020, 2021. Right? Whether it was Cosmos, whether it was Polkadot, like these were sort of such hot narratives. And Polkadot in the last cycle had a ton of hype. It ran up to like over $50. People were buying up the token because they wanted to get on the crowd loan. So in the older version of Polkadot, you basically would tie up your DOT to get access to the parachains, which you could just think of them as roll-ups, right? Like Polkadot effectively solved the ETH scaling problem 3 years ahead of time. So when you look at Polkadot, it's sometimes called a layer 0 protocol. And so it's basically finalizing all the blocks and doing all the consensus. It has a dual consensus mechanism. And what's happening is all these parachains, again, you could just think of them as roll-ups, although they're more like, whereas a roll-up is typically an L2, these are still sovereign L1s, and they're effectively putting the blocks together and they're dumping them onto the relay chain. The relay chain's actually then finalizing all those blocks. What made Polkadot really unique, of course, is that it was able to harness all of sort of the throughput of all of the parachains at one time, because it's running things and executing in parallel. Like there's already been one test on Kusama, which is sort of the Canary network version of Polkadot, where they already achieved 143,000 TPS, right? Like this is a metric that sometimes the market seems to care about. And Polkadot's, you know, like I just use the metaphor of Neo at the end of the first Matrix, where he just like flexes, right? And the reality just warps around him, and he's like, bring it. Like I got so much more. And so, you know, I was really interested in that. That was probably my biggest alt investment. And, you know, into 2021, people started showing up on Twitter. That's when I actually joined X. So you guys will appreciate this as my fellow oldies. My funky one comes from my 1995 AOL screen name, which was Funky Sid. And that, I didn't even want my friends to find that. So I went as the funky one as my pseudonymous name. And then it's just gotten shortened to, everybody just calls me Funky. Or in Polkadot land, I have tons of other nicknames like, you know, Funkatron, Funkasaurus Rex, all these other derivations of funk. And so I just started meeting people, and our company that I'm the head of protocol partnerships for, Global Stake, which is an enterprise grade, institutional focused bare metal infrastructure provider. We don't do cloud. We don't do rent. We don't do anything with renting servers. We only run our own hardware, and we are SOC 2 Type 2 certified. So we're integrated with all the big custodians. But the reason I'm in this position now was because of Polkadot. Like the thing that was sort of the core, I guess, the single thread that interwove the fabric of what became Global Stake was the fact that we were all in on Polkadot very early on. And so I was the second person hired at the company. And it was basically like we got together. This is back in 22. So like the bear market's setting in. You know, I think this was before the FTX crash, but it was after Terra Luna, because I think that was like in May of 22. And at first, all I was doing was reaching out to other Polkadot parachains and saying, hey, can we run a collator, which is similar to a validator, but it's just actually like ordering the data in the blocks, but it doesn't have any finality like the way that a validator does on, say, Ethereum mainnet. And so just doing that. And then, of course, we branched out to Cosmos next, because they're sort of like our interoperability cousins. And then once we really started to take on our institutional shift, that's when we started running a lot of ETH validators. We run Solana, we run BNB, we run Avalanche, you know, you name it, all the big ones we obviously do, and we're integrated with all the big custodians. So I'll pause there. That was a good bit, but that's kind of the whole backstory and how I'm here and working full-time in the industry today.
And super interweave with the Polkadot ecosystem throughout. It's obviously a theme throughout. And so it makes sense that you're like the Polkadot guy. Before we get into Polkadot DeFi, because I want to get into hydration and talk about, because that's been my journey. Like I waited way too long. I know I talked about it, but it's like I was focused on other things. It was like a whole nother language. And then there got to a point where it was almost embarrassing for me to be like, hey guys, how does this all work? Because like you hear people talking about it, and you're like, I just take for granted that everybody's in this thing. And I got all these DMs from people being like, hey man, me too. So I've been getting into it. Before we get into that, though, what are some like dApps? I know mythical games. Like, what are some dApps that exist on Polkadot, and what purposes do you think it serves sort of as it continues to grow?
So for Polkadot explicitly, you don't have, I mean, like you could think of each chain almost as a dApp, right? Like where much like Cosmos really had sort of the app chain thesis. And I do think that there's a sense in which Bread talks about this a lot, and I think he has a lot to, I think the market has sort of swung the pendulum back to, rather than having an app chain just do one particular thing, that the generalized blockchains that do a lot of different things are becoming more vogue. Having said that, there are some very active app chains that do very specific things. Like you mentioned Pudgy Party, for instance, or FIFA Rivals, NFL Rivals. So that's mythical games. Now, this is interesting because this gets back to sort of why they built on Polkadot, because originally Mythical Games was building out on Ethereum, but then they realized, wait a minute, we can't actually run games and do these things that we really want to do without having the throughput necessary to achieve this. And so because of that, that's why they basically were enticed by Polkadot. They've been building here and they had their parachain now for a couple of years. And so the first game they launched was NFL Rivals. So if you've never played it, if you're listening or watching, you can go on your App Store or Google Store if you're on Android. And NFL Rivals was the first game that they made. And basically it's licensed NFL teams. And what I think they are very good at is they're tapping into more of that Gen Z, in the sense like you guys, like I gave away my Xbox 360 a long time ago, right? Like I used to be a dedicated gamer where I would play almost every day, one of the games in my 2K basketball season or one of the games in my Madden season. I think I was driving my wife nuts because I was high school, she's middle school, she'd come home, she's like, and for like I get home from school and for an hour, I just play like some sport game. What's cool about NFL Rivals and by extension FIFA Rivals is it's driven by the sort of dopamine addict. You want to play quick, fast games, right? Like where you score a couple touchdowns, yeah, you win, right? Same thing for FIFA Rivals. You score 2 goals, you win. So they can be played really quickly, and then you can just keep playing. And so that was the first sort of experiment, was NFL Rivals. And so the fact that they've demonstrated the ability to lock up this massive IP, then they go with FIFA Rivals. They're just now closing up. They do these seasons where they have throwback Adidas things. So they have big partnerships with Adidas and other, brands that are known for in these sports realms, if you will. And then Pudgy Party, of course, which I got to play a lot at Rare Evo last weekend in Vegas, because Mythical was one part of the booth. And then Luca, he was on the governance show yesterday for Polkadot, because most people probably don't realize this, but as part of their go-to-market strategy for the big push when Pudgy Party comes out, is that they're seeking a $2 million funding round, which is matched by both Pudgy themselves via Pengu, as well as Mythical. So they're trying to put together a pot of like 6 million to really have a huge push, because the goal, Luca stated, is to make Pudgy Party the #1 app downloaded in either the Google Play Store or the App Store. Not just like for games, but the #1 app. That's really what they want to do and onboard people. And as someone who doesn't really play a whole lot of games, what I found interesting about Pudgy was that you could just literally pick it up and play. It's so easy to understand. I mean, I know, Steve, you're not, unfortunately, a fan of Super Mario World, right? The way that Cap and I are. But like in terms of just like the casual, like it's as easy as a Mario game, right? Like you can just pick it up. You don't even have to figure it out. Like there's nothing to really, it's a couple buttons and you're just pushing your finger around on the iPad to move the Pengu in various directions. And it was so much fun. I played a bunch and I kept like having to put it down. Thank goodness other people would come up to the booth, because I'm like, okay, here, let me show you this. So, Mythical is a great example. So it kind of captures that gaming vertical. I would say a big one, and I know we're going to talk about hydration in a little bit and probably get into detail there. That's sort of the dominant DeFi app or app chain. We have a chain called Moonbeam, and Moonbeam is effectively Ethereum riding on Polkadot rails. So if you're a dev, you could take any kind of Solidity smart contract and easily just port that over to Moonbeam. And what it does is use WASM as a decompiler. So like the chain is running EVM, but then it effectively changes that over to WASM and allows it to finalize the blocks on Polkadot. I hope I'm explaining that correctly. Some devs out there are probably tearing their hair out. But like Moonbeam is all of Ethereum on Polkadot, because you can just effectively fork your contract or just copy it over, because it's all done in Solidity. It's just riding on that layer of Moonbeam. So anything that you want to do in EVM land. So there's another very popular DEX. I would be remiss in not shouting out Stella Swap. Stella Swap is probably the #1 DEX on Moonbeam. So if you're just used to using more of the EVM stuff or having a typical Uniswap interface, very easy to use. I would say Bifrost is one that needs to be mentioned. Bifrost is sort of the liquid staking token. So you guys were talking about Kinetic, for instance, for Hype, right? Like, so on Hyperliquid, you now have Kinetic, which is a liquid staking platform where you put your Hype in there, and then you get the K Hype, which then you can take that and go use in DeFi. So on Bifrost, that's effectively the same thing. Now, there's 2 different kinds of liquid staking tokens, of course, and we won't have to get into all those details, but Bifrost uses what's called a rebasing token, where the rewards are continually accruing into the actual token itself. So you stake your DOT in Bifrost and you get a token that's like a receipt called VDOT. And that VDOT continues to grow in value over time because as you keep the staking rewards that are being earned natively through DOT are going into the VDOT price. So when you look at the VDOT price over time, it continues to climb upward because it's constantly rebasing that token value because you're taking the staking rewards and it's being compounded into the VDOT token. Now, what's nice about that is you can use VDOT then in other DeFi protocols. So you could go to Hydration and use it. You could go to, in fact, one of the killer, although it's full right now, you could lend out your VDOT. So like you're earning the native staking rewards, which is probably somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 14%. So it's rebasing on the token. Then you could have lent that out as collateral on Hydration for like 11.5%. So you're already clearing like 24, 25%. And then now you have that capital to then borrow. Like one of the best loops I did very early on before the cap filled up was basically lend out VDOT, borrow TBTC, right? The threshold Bitcoin for almost nothing, like under 1%, and then just deposit it in the farm. And then I was earning like 15%. So it was just, you put it all together and you're earning like close to 40% or something like that. So there's, but those I would think are the biggest, most active chains. There are some others too, but they, you know, we only have so much time, right? So like Origin Trail is another one I would be remiss in not mentioning. They're doing
great name too, Origin Trail. Nice.
Yeah, so very close to Oregon Trail for those who are our age and remember that, you know, like you got dysentery and died or whatever, and just like the green screen.
You always like got that confidence. You're like, I think you just cock the wagon and get across this river. I think I'm gonna be okay. All the oxen are dead. All of them are dead. Anyway, okay, good.
Yeah, so Origin Trail, basically what that's doing is effectively looking for knowledge graphs and creating them, and it's verifying that data that's being pulled off the web is legitimate, and then that can be used for LLMs. And it has some big partnerships too. So there's NeuroWeb, which is sort of an offshoot of Origin Trail. That's another parachain. So yeah, there's probably too many to list because I think there's like 50 some chains running. But the ones that I know we're probably going to keep this more focused on DeFi. That's why I thought Bifrost and Hydration are probably worth mentioning. Moonbeam because of Stella Swap. So there's just tons of opportunities in terms of just putting your capital to work in an efficient way and then just earning a nice return.
We're definitely going to probably spend most of the time on DeFi. I just want to go back to the gaming real quick. What like, I think one of the big components is none of the just major brands with NFL, FIFA, Pudgy Party, the mobile component. What is it about Mythos that's just their focus and they're doing a good job getting this out there? Is the Polkadot ecosystem somehow enabled more so for gaming? Like what's driving that? Any take on that?
So yeah, a couple things. One, I think the accessibility, more and more people are going to mobile, not only for gaming, but also for even crypto, right? Like where people are now, and I was the longest holdout for using like a mobile wallet. I, for the most part, and I hate to even admit it, like I still use mostly MetaMask. I should probably switch over to Rabby, but I'm still mostly a desktop guy. I think it was just like ingrained in me very early on, like hardware wallets, security, all that stuff. But I think most people are super comfortable, especially younger people, because when you think about leapfrogging, you think about the developing nations, or regions of the world, whether it's Africa or LATAM, everybody's just, they're like sending tether to each other on their phones, scanning QR codes and so on and so forth. So I think in a world in which younger generations are dominated by, it's the only device that they have a lot of times when you think about some of those developing regions of the world. And so it's just super easy to do a mobile game. And then what's nice is on the back end, because of this being built on the blockchain, Mythical has done a phenomenal job in abstracting all this away. And I'm sure Squiddy's listening, and I got to give a shout out to Squiddy because I don't know if people know this. Squiddy's one of the community managers for Mythical. So Squiddy knows a ton about Mythical, and he could probably give you a lot more detail about some of these choices. But I think because gaming is such a huge vertical, especially among younger people. Most of them are leapfrogging. They're using mobile wallets anyhow. But on the back end, you have entire NFT marketplaces. Like when you look at Mythical, it has probably more NFT volume than like OpenSea. It's crazy because what's happening is people like in FIFA Rivals, you earn pieces of like cards to build up like to a mythic player or an epic player or whatever it's called. You can like get jerseys and all this other stuff, and then people are trading. I mean, this has been going on long before NFTs even came into existence, right? Like you think about skins that existed, you know, or like World of Warcraft back in the day. Early use of Bitcoin was people trading Bitcoins when they were worth, you know, very little money 15 years ago, whatever, to get items, video game items. And so I think that's always been a hot thing, and they tapped into that in such a way that allows them to just, you know, use the mobile interface because it's abstracted away a lot of the blockchain aspects. You probably only really, because when you create an account, much like Hyperliquid as a good example, it just kind of assigns an account to you without you having to do too much. Like you just put in an email or whatever, and it's like, bam, here's your account. Like you don't have to worry about private keys or anything else like that. Mythical is doing very much the same, where you do not see an account. It's just like you create an account, but on the back end, Mythical has created sort of a wallet for you to store your items and everything else and do this stuff on the marketplace. And then you trade everything in Myth, which is the token. And I think, honestly, I'm not trying to like not financial advice at all, but like Myth is probably one of the most undervalued tokens out of all the parachains. Like it has a sub $100 million market cap, but it has this incredible IP. You're about to have Pudgies push the hell out of it when Pudgy Party comes out. So I think this might be an opportunity. Look at that, like under 8 cents now.
I kid you not, before you talk about it, I had the chart pulled up. I was looking at it down on the year. But yeah, it's like for all that they have going on, I was a little surprised to see it below 100 million as well.
Yeah, when you look at the volume cap, it's insane. So like I feel like this is a gem that's being slept on that people don't realize. Again, I don't think we'll ever see the alt seasons that we saw in the past where like everything pumps, but if something has a good chance for risk reward, to me, that seems like it's one of them. Again, not financial advice, but you know, sorry, that was all over the place. Hopefully I kind of answered the thing about Mythical. They also, the last thing I'll say about this, John Linden and Cameron and the co-founders and stuff, these guys used to make like, what's the Call of Duty and shit. Like they've made like, these guys come from legit gaming backgrounds pre-COVID. And so they're used to making really big hit games. And I think when you guys play Pudgy Party at the end of the month, or if you haven't like been one of the beta tests, if you haven't played it yet, or anybody who hasn't played it yet, it is a AAA game. Like it is a game that you're like just blown away by the quality, and it's so fun, so easy, so addictive, and they're just cute, right? Like when you're running around the little, I was trying to like go into get more costumes because you get all these different costumes, and then each, depending on the costume, you have like one thing that you can do. Like the firefighter has like a little fire extinguisher that can like push people out of the way and stuff, and it's a ton of fun. I think people are going to be really surprised by Pudgy Party.
I just saw too, they have a ambassador program, kind of like their own. I'm taking almost like their own internal InfoFi, if you will. Becoming a Mythos ambassador, create, post, get rewarded. And reward is not just token, it's potentially legendary players in that FIFA rivals or NFL rivals. Just doing some interesting stuff there. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm guessing probably a lot less crowded than most of the Kaido leaderboards. Is that, I mean, not knocking what you've done at all, very well deserved, but you've been on that Polkadot leaderboard since I can remember. Do you mind just giving some listeners like an idea of like what you've done to get there? I mean, you're knowledgeable, you put out good content on the topic, but is it fair to say that not only is the Polkadot leaderboard and maybe not as congested, but even one layer down, this Mythos that's not on Kaido, just doing their own thing, I believe, probably also not nearly as competitive from other content creators, or in particular the AI slop we see coming out of so many of the Kaido leaderboards?
Yeah, I would say considering how slept on Mythos is in general and mythical gamings, like, and you know, again, shout out Squiddy. reach out to him. He's one of the community managers. I'm sure he would have a ton of information about like what they're doing for that particular campaign. I worked with a super talented, incredible young man named Charlie, 23 years old. And I was like the old man dispensing wisdom to him at dinners in Vegas. Like, bro, if I were like had my head on the way you do right now at 23, like incredible. So, I mean, I think, yes, there's probably a ton of potential upside for doing some of these things with Mythos if they're doing that kind of campaign. For Polkadot, one of the things that I did when I started getting involved in April was I just put on the teacher hat and I thought, okay, like I know a lot about Polkadot. I may as well just share and create information and so on and so forth. So I did a couple threads. They started going off and they were getting crazy. And then what I realized, because if you really want to, and I think I talked about this one time with you guys probably back in May, to create good content consistently, especially if you're a smaller account, like I got 8,700 followers, right? I'm not ICO beast, right? Where he already dominates the entire mindshare leaderboard for Kaido. So like ICO, and I love him, like he comes in and he puts out like one tweet a week and he's like #1 because he has so much reach. But I was even on Modern Market, you guys maybe remember this during when Token 2049 was happening in Dubai. I was on cam saying like, we want larger creators. We want people who are outside of the ecosystem to actually make content, because it's great to see many of my friends be rewarded for sharing their knowledge and information. However, many of them are all like, if you look through their follower accounts, it's all just other Polkadot people. And so I was trying to say like, listen, we need to break outside of the echo chamber. We've all been in Polkadot a long time. We all know these things. I think having somebody like Mr. Shift or what's his name, but it basically when Shift happens, Kevin, like he had 3 back-to-back interviews with major Polkadot leaders. And then, he's been like solidly #2 for probably the last 2 or 3 months, because then even the main Polkadot account was sharing the clips and stuff like that. But I was encouraging that, like, even if it meant diluting my own rewards, I'd rather have, and that's why I said to you guys too, like you guys are more ETH based. You have a crowd and an audience, if you will, that's largely focused on ETH and maybe Solana to an extent, right? Because you guys are apes, but then you also just constantly talk NFTs. You do a lot of other cool things with, maybe Joey and Beezy and like all, you have such a wide, varied audience. This is why I was excited when you guys asked to have me on again, because this is an opportunity to talk about Polkadot to an audience that maybe doesn't hear anything about it very often. Because unfortunately, our industry is still really insular and very isolated. Like, it's still kind of a little too tribal, I think. And what originally attracted me to Polkadot in some sense was not only the idea of interoperability, but it reminded me of just like how it was in the classroom, bringing people together, bringing various ideas together, like, and helping them create a better, bigger thing. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen eventually is that all these chains will talk to each other, right? Like there will be a better way than clunky bridges. And maybe it's AI will help accelerate light clients, for instance, where browser-based communication can just happen. Anyhow, all over the place with that answer. But I think that it is the last month. It's still worth, like I see Yasmina, for instance, really kind of climbing the leaderboard. I'm all for getting those outside voices, even if it is the last month, because who knows? Maybe the marketing bounty changes its mind, or maybe they bring it back in the future. As of right now, they said this is the last month, but it's up to the marketing bounty, which is a group dedicated to just marketing initiatives. Because everything in Polkadot is completely decentralized. There's no one single entity that makes any kind of decisions for the broader network or the DAO. So we'll see. But I eventually I couldn't keep up with the grind because it was too much to constantly make that level of content. So I pushed hardcore April, May, and then the rest of the months, like I still obviously share about Polkadot and things that are happening, but I'm not trying to grind the Kaido leaderboard because it's exhausting. And then trying to keep up with bigger accounts, or to your point, the AI slop, it's too hard. Can't be done, man.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way we approach it. Like I give the example of like, I tweeted about Polygon a couple of times, and all of a sudden I look at Kaido and I'm like, it says I'm on a Polygon leaderboard. Polygon has a leaderboard. They're like, someone's like, oh yeah, they have rewards. So I was like, okay, that's the ideal way then. Like I rank on something because I'm using it and learning about it and, trying to do that. And I think Polkadot's the same way, where it's like, yeah, if they don't do a Kaido campaign, it's not going to stop me from earning yield on the platform in the coming months. So for people out there who are looking at this, so you mentioned Bifrost, a liquid staking token with native yield, which I love because I got a liquid staking token on one protocol that was not native yield, and I went to stake it somewhere else and realized that I lowered my reward. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. So I like that concept. Then you've got, hydration. Like those two come to mind. You mentioned Moonbeam maybe, but for people who are getting started, I have a wallet with some sort of an S symbol, which looks like kind of like the S you drew in high school on your notebooks. What are the different wallets that people need to do? And then let's go like keep it really simple. What wallets do they need? And then you always need to have a little bit of DOT for gas when you're working with them. So like let's start with that like part. So it's like obviously DOT you can buy on Coinbase, you can send it right over the wallets. But like what wallets do you need to get set up with right away, and what other actions you need to take?
So again, as someone who was mostly a desktop guy, the go-to desktop wallet is Talisman, and they are working on a mobile solution, but that is just desktop. If you are a mobile only person and that's your preference, then I would say Nova Wallet. Now, Nova Wallet admittedly is probably the best all-in-one wallet, even though it is mobile, because you can do staking, you can do governance, you can vote on referenda. They even have it like Tinder where you can swipe aye or nay, right? Like it's that easy to use when you're voting on governance stuff for OpenGov. You can do swaps right in your wallet now. That was one of the features that they just pushed. So, when you get something, even between chains, it's literally going to go through and find the best route on the best chain to make that swap for you. And it's done in like under 30 seconds, however many moves are happening behind the scenes. It's all abstracted away. And then Subwallet is a great team out of Vietnam. They were the first ones to kind of have the dual approach where it is both a desktop wallet as well as a mobile wallet. So those are three great options, just depending on your preference. Yes, to your point, Steve, you can get DOT pretty much anywhere, Coinbase, whatever. Now, the one tricky thing that is a very DOT thing is to keep accounts honest. They have what's called an existential deposit, which means you always need to have one DOT at a bare minimum in the wallet. Otherwise, the account gets swept. So if you fall below that threshold, your account eventually will just get swept. That doesn't mean it's not dead, right? Like you could still just re-import your seed phrase and then like refill that wallet. But like it will, if there's under one DOT, it will get swept. This is a cause of consternation among the community. They've said we need to get rid of it for years. But just something to be aware of, especially for the listeners. But I mean, a DOT's like what, $4? It's not a lot. And then I would say, the go-to place that's right now that's definitely the darling of the market is hydration, which has really, really evolved. And I give a ton of credit to the hydration team because they have turned it into what was once just for the most part a Uniswap, right? It was just like a basic kind of like where you could swap tokens. It is a full-blown like Aave now, where you can do borrowing, lending. The Omni Pool, I'm going to just pause and talk here for a split second, is a really unique novel architecture. So one of the things that like I even said to ICO one time was that there is no smart contract risk, because he wrote something and he's like, oh, because we're just so used to framing everything in the EVM land. Like, oh, if I'm doing DeFi, one of the big risks, of course, is smart contract risk. Is the contract audited? Do we know it's been vetted? So on and so forth. The way Polkadot works, it's really unique. It's actually built into the chain itself. So instead of having a smart contract, it's part of the runtime code, because the Polkadot SDK is built with, the old name for this used to be Substrate. So these pallets, these different kind of modules that can kind of stack on top of each other to do different things. And so the Omni Pool uses that architecture where you don't have smart contract risk. And instead, it's baked into the chain code, if you will. And what makes the Omni Pool interesting is that whatever asset you deposit, you only have to do single-sided LP. So you don't really worry about IL all that much. And I'll give you a really good example. So when they started Giga ETH, right, I deposited 3 ETH just to add some more so I could earn more rewards. And that 3 ETH is now worth 2.9908. So, and that's been across like at least 2 months or close to that. At least 6 weeks. And so very minimal IL. And what happens is as you're swapping, so it's basically putting all of them, hence the Omni Pool, putting all these assets into a single pool. so that they all can trade against one another and create like this giant pool of liquidity. And when you do have IL, you earn this other token called H2O, because everything's about hydration, water, liquidity, blah, blah, blah. And so when you take it out, like let's say I remove my Giga ETH, then I would get that 2.99, but I get a small chunk of that H2O. So, and usually it pretty much comes out to where you could trade that H2O back to like more ETH or Giga ETH, and then you'd make up for the IL. I've never lost any significant sum at any point ever on using hydration for, I mean, well over a year, probably 18 months or whatever.
And for people in the chat, a couple people are like, what's IL? So to give the IL example, impermanent loss effectively, think of it this way. Normally, when you fund a pool, I'll give my Sol USDC example. I put USDC dollars, Solana in a pool, and there is a range. And you are essentially becoming the liquidity provider for both sides of the pool, meaning that like when somebody buys Solana, you're selling them your Solana. So when the price of Solana goes up, you end up with more USDC. When the price of Solana goes down, you end up with more Solana, because you are effectively saying, I am selling you my Solana because you want it, and you are giving me USDC. So Solana goes up, you see your USDC fill up. So impermanent loss, effectively, impermanent loss is the concept of you're not really losing money, but because it's worse than holding it spot, in theory, one way or the other, you're losing one of the assets as the other asset goes up. Now, to Funky's point, the reason why what he just said is super appealing, he just said he's been holding ETH. Now, normally, if you have ETH and USDC as an example, and ETH cooks, he's going to have a whole lot of USDC and not a lot of ETH. Because think about it. If ETH goes from 1,800 to 5,000, well, then everybody's buying ETH, and he is getting their USDC and selling him his ETH. That stinks because you missed the upside. The fact that his impermanent loss is so minimal over ETH's incredible cook that we've seen shows that the way that they're balancing it is not causing him to have that impermanent loss. And so he's kind of having his cake and eating it too, where you're collecting fees from the pool because they're paying you money for helping them fund the pool. You are getting this other token that he's farming, and you're only losing a little bit of money on that upside. So that idea of the Omni pool is super attractive to people in liquidity pools, because you don't have to worry about, you know, parabolically losing your money when ETH has a crazy run. Did I actually hit that well? I've been in DeFi for like a week and a half.
No, dude, you killed it. That was perfect, because I was going to share a story, and I was just talking about this with my wife this morning. I'm a big fan, of course. This isn't Polkadot, but they were a former Polkadot team, Bob, built on Bitcoin, and it's basically built on the OP stack. It's effectively like a hybrid between ETH and Bitcoin. And I was in a pool there, and what I had done, because I'm like still bullish both assets, but I went into that pool with a little bit of Bitcoin and a little bit of ETH, I think maybe 2 ETH and a little bit of Bitcoin, wrap Bitcoin. And then I got way out of range. And so I ended up basically getting 0.03 Bitcoin. And I was like, whatever, I don't care, because ETH was at like $1,700. Now I'm kicking myself, because it's like, wait a minute, that would be like triple that amount, right? Like it would have been worth 0.09 Bitcoin. So, you know, you got to be careful with these things. Whereas Omnipool takes all that risk away. And I thought of the perfect analogy for us who are over 40. The Omnipool is the fountain at the mall, where people just throw their money in, they make their wish. And, you know, you could be that guy that goes and fishes your money back out, or, you know, so like for those who are young and didn't live the mall rat's life, which I've been, not lying, Steve, like trying to contain myself from not quoting that movie endlessly on the stream with you. But, you know, you'd go to a mall, and it was a really common thing where there would be some kind of fountain very often in the mall, and people would like flick a quarter, nickel, dime, penny, whatever, and they would make a wish in the fountain, and it would just be littered with coins all over. But it's very similar to that, like where you're just, whether it's Bitcoin, ETH, DOT, VDOT, you know, people are just Myth, right? There's a pool on there. Like people just throw these different things in there. Actually, Myth isn't in the Omni pool. It's in a regular standard LP pool. So I misspoke there. But for most of the bigger assets, you can just throw them in this Omni pool, and it's all just shared liquidity among everybody. And then, yes, you're earning all those trading fees. And the question that comes up a lot, because when I was screaming my head off about stables, like it got to the point where Aaron and I typically keep a good bit of cash. Like I used to keep it in our Amex high yield account, and it was paying like 4%. And so I was like, this is crazy to keep 5 figures of cash in this. Rather than, so I yanked it, and I just bought staples with it, and it went straight to the Omni pool, because at that point it was paying like 22% APY. It's now down to about 15 or 16, which is still crazy. Like when I was in DC, And I was talking to people from the Blockchain Association, and they're like, what? You're earning 15%? I was like, you are missing out. If you're not doing DeFi, there is no better way to, especially with stables, because now you don't have to really worry about delta risk. Like, yeah, you might have smart contract risk or whatever, depending on the chain, not in the case of hydration, but you can earn such a great return.
Yeah, my mom's financial person was bragging about the 14% yield she got on the actively managed portfolio, and it's like, okay, I just parked my USDC over here and I'm earning 15%. So GG's to the finance people.
Is the 14% net of fees, or is that just
it was 14% net of fees. So it was impressive. It was a good job. Good. It's impressive for TradFi. But the okay, so let's say, and I apologize because I'll need to jump actually right at 10 because my son got a last summer sleepover, so I need to swing out. But I need to so we got our wallet, we're getting our dot in there. Where do people go to swap money if they want to get money into the native BTC asset, the native ETH asset, start swapping? Where are they going to swap, and where are they? What am I using there to swap? And then after that, it should be really simple and plug and play on hydration. But where do I get these other assets? So I take my dot, put a shitload of dot over. I maybe bridge from some ETH. What do I do now? So I've got a bunch of dot in my wallet. What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, the simplest thing, if you wanted to just swap for those other assets, you could, if you're using a Nova wallet, you could do it right in the wallet, right? So you can, and then you're not going to hold native BTC. Let me be clear about that. You would probably have most likely TBTC, which is threshold network, and that's what I use on hydration. And so now you could take the more painstaking route of the last time I added some Bitcoin to the hydration is I bought native Bitcoin, I sent it to my ledger, I then minted the threshold Bitcoin, and then I took that, and after it was in my EVM wallet, I then bridged it into hydration and made that deposit. So that's probably a little bit more multi-step. You could theoretically just buy a bunch of dot, and then you could swap to whatever asset you want and then deposit those right in the pool. And what you'll do is on the hydration app, you would go to where it says cross-chain, and I don't know if I have the ability to, can guests share the screen or no?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let me pull up hydration, and then I can just show you guys this stuff.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because this is exactly the steps, because all things considered, people are like, okay, how do I do it? It's you get the right wallet, you write down your seed phrase, don't store it somewhere publicly or somewhere it can be found. You load up that wallet with dot. You need to have at least one dot in there at all times. I learned that as well with one of my wallets, where I have a one dot sitting in one of my sub wallets, and I might switch over to Nova. Then you swap that to TBTC or whatever asset you are looking to get yield on, and then you go over to hydration and you just let her rip.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to get to where I can connect my other account because I don't want to expose this one.
That's how I am. I actually have a dummy account I use for people are like, you're only staking $10 on that, and I'm like, it's a dummy account. I just don't want to. I don't like having my main account on there. And if you're not able to get it running, that's totally cool. But it's it is a complicated thing though, because it is a new ecosystem. And what's so funny is if people are here in crypto, they're obviously open to learning new ideas and they're super smart. But then I feel like I tell people now go over to Polkadot. You need to do this. Too much work, too many steps. I'm guilty of it too. But that's where the opportunity lies. And I think people are missing opportunity. Like I mentioned, I'm doing some DeFi on Flow. I'm doing some DeFi on Polygon. I'm getting ready to do DeFi on Polkadot. And people are like, why are you messing with these boomer chains? It's the less crowded trade is often better than the sexy new trade.
Okay, I got it up. So if you want to pull it up, because I think you guys have to let it up on stage.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
So here's the main interface for hydration, right? So I've got my just regular funky one account. This is one I just keep 50 dot in or something like that. Now this gives you all of the various things you could do. What's really cool, they also have a DCA trade. So if you wanted to regularly clip into something, you can actually set this to where it'll just automatically buy at whatever clip I think you set. You could do trade OTC, you could do all sorts of other stuff. So now I don't have anything in my positions because this is my other account, not the main account that I use for this. But this is just where you can get an overview of what you have out on, that you've supplied. You can see what you basically have available to borrow. This is going to be blank right now, unfortunately, because I don't have any collateral. So you can see sort of the rates at which you can borrow these things. You can see obviously stable coins are very high right now, prohibitively expensive. Here's that VDOT where I was talking about, where you could loan it. It's capped right now, but you could be earning like 11.5% and then borrowing something else. Like if you look at TBTC, it's now up to 5%, but then you think, oh, I can lend it out and then I can borrow it and then I can put it in the pool and I'm going to earn 12%. So you're netting 7, plus you're still getting the 25-ish between the regular staking plus the borrow. So you have all sorts of different things here. But to get to your point, let me just get over here. So wallet is where you connect your wallet cross-chain. So if you are coming and you connect your wallet, this will just basically show you like where you want it. If you're just using regular DOT, for instance, that would be just Polkadot. So that's like the main relay chain. And let's say you want to move your DOT to hydration so you can use it for trading. So like right here, in fact, you can see I have 13 free DOT. So I'm just going to send 5 DOT to hydration just so you can see how easy this is. I got to update my metadata, of course, but you sign the transaction. Of course, I haven't put in my password.
And then it has you swap. So you move the DOT onto hydration first, then you swap it on the platform, unless you do it in your Nova wallet, in which case you can move that asset directly on there.
Yeah. You could literally just swap right there in the wallet, or you could send it via, you could do, yes, Nova wallet is going to give you a ton of flexibility. And so now you see, I lost a
but
little
real quick, if I have the DOT in my sub wallet, I take the DOT, I load it on there, and then I'm going to be able to convert it right on hydration site.
Yes, if you've connected your wallet, you should be able to just do whatever. So like if I go back to trade, for instance,
there's the swap. Got it. Cool.
Yeah. So if I just click on DOT, you can see I have like the 5 DOT here. And then depending on what I want to swap for, there's any number of things. You can go through the assets. It's not loading them all. Or you could just search for it. Like if I wanted to buy some more Bitcoin, I could click on this. And then it's just,
yeah, that's the alpha. That's it. That was such a simple explanation and such a simple set of steps that seemed more complicated in my head, but seeing you do it, it's I buy Polkadot on Coinbase, I send Polkadot to my wallet, my Polkadot native wallet, I connect it to hydration, I bridge it to hydration, I swap it on hydration, and I'm off and running in the pools, and there I go.
Yeah, you would hit join farms. So like if you're here, and I pulled this up just so people could see the rates. Now, what's happening right now, just in the interest of full disclosure, is we have this campaign where the Polkadot treasury incentivized how we're getting to these rates is effectively they were given 2 million DOT across 6 months that they're seeding across these pools to pay these incentives to draw in more liquidity. So we've seen the TVL climb, we've seen the volumes climb. So hydration has grown because we're trying to sort of dog food, if you will, the best DeFi app chain in the ecosystem. But again, stables are still paying almost 17%. You can see TBTC, they just ended the first boost. So it's so funny. I was lamenting to my wife this morning, like, oh, it's only 12%. Where the hell else are you going to earn 12% on Bitcoin? Like nowhere. I can't think of anything else that's out there. My Solana, dude, I took like a bunch of Solana from my hot wallet that probably should have been in my cold wallet on my ledger. And I was like, because this was one that they boosted 65% right now. If you have Sol. And you're just using Wormhole because they have 2 different bridges. They have Snow Bridge for ETH-based stuff, but they have Wormhole for a lot of the other pieces like Solana. And basically you can bridge in Sol and earn 65% on your Sol, right? It's just insane. I think native inflation is 5% or something crazy on Solana. So great earning potential there. Giga ETH is very similar to what they did with Giga DOT. They first made that, so that's paying 15%. That's why I threw in 3 ETH. Just so I have a bunch of things farming. I have a little bit of ETH. I have basically some Gigadot, that some of my DOT holdings that I keep as Gigadot. I have a good pile of stables in there now. I have probably a little too much Bitcoin, a good bit of Bitcoin earning. And then even Solana, and Aave, which is not on the list. There's some more that, okay, here, that's why. There's some other great ones too. Aave, it's paying almost 33%. Link is still paying 20%. And then I thought, here's that track. Remember the Origin Trail? That's this one. That's paying 54%. BNC, this is the Bifrost token, 40% on that. And then I thought there were some. Oh, MakerDAO, Sky. This one's also paying very handsomely, 40%. This one I think is a sleeper gem that not too many people hold the Sky token. Aave, as you guys know, like I was talking about on Modern Market a couple mornings ago, I feel like is a great position to take long term, just because it's almost fully diluted. Almost all the tokens are in circulation, and I feel like that's one that TradFi is just going to plow into, because Aave is sort of the dominant lending protocol across all EVM chains. They just keep deploying new iterations. So anyhow, it's 10 o'clock. I know you guys are probably got to go. And I need to jump myself, but
dude, this is awesome. Oh, sorry, Cap, I'll let you get the last thing in, but I'll say, for those who aren't following Funky, Cap did pin a post at the top from Funky that will let you go ahead and follow him. So make sure you're following him if you're not. Like, one of those OG people who is in the rooms that really matter in this world. And
like we were just earlier, like he has dinner, he has meetings with real movers and shakers in this industry that aren't on CT. People like Kathy Wood is not a stranger to Funky. Like he is directly connected to very influential people in crypto far beyond CT.
Yep. So that said, Cap, any other questions for Funky? I know we got to go. He's got to go. I got to go. But any other questions on anything? I know you
I got a few things I can wrap up with as you get out of here, but no, nothing else for Funky. Really appreciate you joining us today. Welcome back anytime. Always a big brain joining us. And yeah,
my pleasure. Thank you so much. I gotta say this, and Cap, we gotta go get lunch, coffee, something. Like, we gotta lift. I kind of hurt my back deadlifting, but like when I'm good to go, like I gotta come out your way and we gotta hang out for sure.
For sure.
And Steve, before you go, shall I call you Logan Weapon X? No, Wolverine. Sorry,
I was gonna say that kid is back on the escalator, so you got to go get him. No, appreciate you.
On the escalator again.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, a lot of love in the chat too. I think you got some people making some moves on hydration today.
Anybody, hit me up if you have questions, whatever. Just don't be afraid. Don't be a stranger. Hit me up and reply.
And talk about what you're doing. Like, in all seriousness, when you make some moves, share it on the timeline. You never know. You might find yourself on a Polkadot leaderboard. You might find yourself as a mythical ambassador. Like, it's just like, it's not nearly as crowded as a lot of the stuff that the big KOLs talk about on crypto Twitter.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much. Again, really appreciate it. And anytime you need me, I'm here. So
thank you very much.
Appreciate it. The good dude, man. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to pull him off. I thought he was jumping. I apologize about that, Funky. But no, man, that's our guy, man. He's one of my favorite people in Web3. Super smart, really in the space, and like, honestly, like, Polkadot is a lot simpler than I think I was thinking.
It's all pretty simple, man. That's the thing. I think a lot of it is much more simple than we
make it more complicated. It needs to be. You know what I mean?
Yep. And it can be, but things like these games, like we've really you could literally tell anyone to go to iOS App Store, download FIFA Rivals, or they're going to play. Like, you don't need to know anything blockchain related. Now, the DeFi stuff, a little bit, but we definitely overcomplicate things that we aren't intimately familiar with. And nothing described. Like, anyone listening in could do everything he just described today.
Yep.
And if you have questions, reach out and ask. He's a very friendly, very knowledgeable individual. And speaking for him, I think he'd be happy to help.
Yeah, for sure. Look, Kat, that said, I know you have a couple more rapid fires, so why don't you hit those? I need to probably go in the next 2 to 3, so I make sure I can pick my son up on time. But
I won't even do any deep dives. Just I'll pin some stuff up top. Feel free to dive deeper. Some of these will be evergreenish. We can talk about Monday. Paul Atkins, the SEC chair, he had his update. I've not watched the video, but the Project Crypto, the big takeaway, everyone tweeted out you'll see 100 of them. They all tweeted the same thing, like always. But basically that they're mobilizing all divisions to make the U.S. the Bitcoin and crypto capital of the world. Nothing really new out of that, but I don't even know what mobilizing all divisions mean, but positive.
I like they're saying it. It's better than them not saying it. It's better than saying the opposite.
Exactly. Gets the people going, and it's just a literal 180 from where we were with Gensler's SEC and issuing Wells notice and all that stuff. So positive news there, high level stuff, but we'll maybe dive into that a little more on Monday. SBET just had their earnings call. They just bought another 600 million at ETH. So that ETH strategic reserve treasury, that buy is not going to get them up to Bitmain's level. That's going to put them over 3 billion of ETH in their holdings, though, compared to Bitmine over 5 billion. The other thing that came out of there, some interesting on the the earnings call is, and I may be butchering it again. I'll go listen to it after our show. But basically, the thesis that ETH's market cap could and should increase by $1 for every $2 of assets on the chain. So as all the stables increase, as RWAs increase, as all these assets, so many more assets get put on ETH. The thesis is that just by simply securing those assets on the network, for every $2 of assets, it should increase the market cap by $1. They could be wrong, but I think that's a new narrative that we'll see TradFi talking about. Three Arrows Capital won a lawsuit against FTX for $1.53 billion. So we might get Three Arrows Capital take 2, I guess. I don't have anything more to add. I just wasn't aware they had filed a suit, but apparently they were awarded during the Luna meltdown. FTX sold all of Three Arrow Capital's ETH and Bitcoin that it wasn't theirs. It was Three Arrow Capital. So they're getting 1.58 or 1.53 billion back from the FTX estate. And then last but not least, I missed this. TG was on the Mr. Beast thread yesterday. He's shooting a shot trying to get Mr. Beast to come on his stream, but yeah, Mr. Beast made an appearance on the, Thread Guy made an appearance on the Mr. Beast stream yesterday, and yeah, probably nothing comes of it. But to summarize all that, we're here, man. Crypto is mainstream. People just may not realize it yet, but it is just going to get more and more integrated in their day-to-day lives. Like the proliferation of crypto is happening, whether you like it or not. We've got a front row seat to it, so buckle up, pay attention, and lever up your longs.
Yeah, position yourself accordingly and be ready for it. But look, that said, again, sorry for the abrupt ending. It was very impromptu. Got a text at about, I don't know, like 6:30 last night. My son got invited to sleep over at someone's house at 7:30. So got to grab him this morning. And also want to take the kids out to breakfast, like I said, one more time before they go back to school. So want to get them out and going. But yeah, good stuff. And I'm excited to dive into Polkadot. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to do it. I am all about the dinosaur chains, man.
Maybe this one we come back to. We had a question from Epic in the abstract chat asking why the partnership with Mythical, since it's being built on abstract. I don't think it is being built on abstract. I think Penguin Party is being built on
Polkadot. Yeah, it's
Polkadot or more specifically the Mythos chain.
Mythos, yeah.
Because they're building it. My understanding is they've licensed the IP from Igloo, and it's actually being built by Mythical Games. So my interpretation is they want to build it on their own chain, which makes
sense. Same. Yep. But yeah, man. I'm excited. This is number stream. Oh, I think Mesh calling out the numbers. We did 60 at one point in the stream, but I think there was a lot of bots at that point thinking they were earning XP for tipping. So we were getting like little dust tips in 60 a stream early on, but 34 on the stream on abstract, not too bad. Yeah, that said, let's send everybody off in their day. I'll probably sneak into the waiting room while the episode loads, but good stuff. I need to hit the streets on so many things. I feel like the reason I know we're in a bull market is there's not enough time in the day for all the things I want to do, and I'm excited to do all of it. So let's send everybody off in their day. Appreciate everyone who came through today. We will talk to everybody bright and early Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.